Hi, my name is Michael Sipos, and I am the IFAS Collier County Sea Grant Extension Agent. And today we're going to show you how to fillet an African Pompano and give you a little bit of background facts on them. The African Pompano is in the same family as Jacks, Pompano, and other trevally, which is the Carangidae family. These species, to be legal, have to be 24 inches measured to the fork, which is from the snout here to this area, not the total tail. This individual, to give you an idea of scale, is about 20.1 pounds and weighs about 20.1 pounds and about 34 inches to the fork. So let's get started. There's a lot of meat up in the upper head that people forget about, as you can see over here. And you want to really skim the back of the dorsal area all the way to the front of the head to get as much as you want, because these fish are very difficult to fillet, but the juice is worth the squeeze. The meat is very fine. The muscle fibers, the myomeres, are very small for a fish that's relatively large, so it leaves for a great texture. They're not super commercially available because they're sort of hard to target. The way you want to actually target this species is going to deeper wrecks or deeper structures in the Southwest Florida area. And free lining, you could use live bait, you can use jigs. Vertical jigs do extremely well with them. It's just hard to actually target this fish compared to the amberjack and barracuda and other pelagics in the area. So I'm going to do a little cut on the top and a little cut on the bottom. You can go either around the ribs or over the ribs. What makes them really hard to fillet is that their skin is extremely soft, so it's easily cut through. The way I sort of remediate this problem is either by having like a super sharp knife or going pretty quick with the motion of skinning. The world record for this fish is actually the Florida record, and that is 50.8 pounds, or 50 pounds and 8 ounces, and that was caught off of Daytona in 1990. These species are super cool because when they're small, they have these long stream-like fins that go out, and the reason that they estimate that they have that is that they resemble a jellyfish, which deters some predators. So right now, I am just skimming the backbone and peeling that fillet off. A very popular way that you can cook this fish is blackened. You can grill it. I haven't tried frying it yet, but it makes great sashimi. A lot of people use it for poke bowls or ceviche, which is one of my favorites. So this one I went through the ribs a little bit. That's a really nice fillet right there. It's hard to skin these things, like I said, because the skin is so thin. A lot of people think that they don't have scales, but their scales are very minute. And they have these hard scoots on the back of the tail, which are pretty unique to a lot of fish. I like to cut the fillet in half, and it gives you a little bit easier time running your knife along that skin to make sure that you're not leaving any behind. But let's do the other side before I do that. find this fish, you're probably have to go to a specialty fish market. They're not really commercially exploited too much. They probably often occur at bycatch. I actually speared this individual, and spearing is actually legal in federal waters. It's not legal in state waters. Depending where you're at in Florida, federal waters can be different distances. So in the Atlantic, it's 3 miles offshore, and in the Gulf of Mexico, it is 9 miles offshore. If you're within those distances, hook and line is the only legal method of catching this fish. They're extremely hard fighters because they can go sideways, and the fish is very, very wide. And when they go sideways and start pulling, they're probably one of the best fighting jack species out there. There you have it, a filleted African Pompano. I'm going to dispose of his carcass right over here. Give the table a quick little wipe. And start to process it a little further. So like I said, it's really hard to run your knife across the whole top of the fillet, and this skin is extremely soft. So you want to part the fillet in half, and it gives you a little bit easier time of doing so. It's also a great idea to invest in a 3-stage knife sharpener, a quick little one. If you're having a lot of fish that you're filleting, I like to sharpen my knife between some fish that have a little bit thinner skin. So there you go, I've parted the fillet. If you're having a hard time holding the skin, sometimes I like to put my finger hole in the skin like this, and you can run your finger through it to give you a little bit better of a handhold. So I am going to hover my knife above the skin, and yeah, I messed up on that one a little bit, but we'll see if we can get the top one better. So that's a nice, clean top part of the African Pompano. They have that red bloodline in there, and that is a result of having more vascularization and myoglobin, which is a oxygen binding protein that is used to help them with sustained movement. The white muscle has less capillaries in there, less mitochondria, a little bit larger in terms of diameter, but it's more for burst movement, and it uses glycolysis and it results in some lactic acid buildup. So there's a little bit of time for recovery, while recovery is a lot less for the red muscle that has a lot of those capillaries in there. Let's do that again with this one. Once again, take that top part of the fillet, skim your knife across the top. And there you have it. Oh, there's a little bit of skin on that one. You can always trim this up like this later. Sort of easier to get done the first time, and you can get less of that red muscle. The red muscle is sort of wedged between the top epaxial and the bottom hypaxial muscles, and superficial to the skin. And it has a little bit more stronger fishy flavor because it has those oils and fats that are used for energy. I like to trim it up to make sure that I don't have a lot of that red muscle in there. There we go. And now the bottoms. If you're using a little bit wider of a knife, sometimes it's easier to skin some of these fish just because it planes through the fillet a little easier. This one has a little bit of a side-to-side motion. So I'm going to trim up the belly meat over here. This is sort of like the internal organ area. You can eat it. I like to sort of get rid of that connective tissue. Feel for the ribs, no ribs there. Let's trim up that red. And this is the one that we got a little bit of skin left over on, so gotta shave the top portion. You can see if you get close to that skin that you'll actually get a lot of that red muscle in there. Like I said, that muscle is used by a lot of pelagic species for that sustained movement, more of a marathon rather than a sprinter, while the white muscle is for those bursts of speed when they need them the most. So let me try to get that wedge of that bloodline out there. Bit of rib meat and some ribs actually in here, so I'm going to cut those ribs out. So there you have it. Yeah, go out there, catch some African Pompano today. You can also go to your fish markets in the area. They might have it for you for sale. It's more unlikely they would have it at a Publix, but these are often, shot by spearfishermen, commercial spearfishermen. Oftentimes they like to save them for themselves because the food quality is so great on this species. So, yeah.